Welcome to Blockchain Basement. My name is TJ. Gonna have a really good show for you guys today. We're gonna talk some China. No, some really positive stuff. We talked a little bit yesterday about the pump coming out of China, coming out of the East. We talked about Conflux. If you guys missed that, you can jump in yesterday. Saw some crazy surges, and I was a little hesitant to go all in on this narrative. It was something we've heard a lot in the past cycles, things like that. But I actually did some reading and some digging on it last night. There's some really interesting macro stuff that literally happened Friday in both China and Japan. We're very keyed in on the central bank here in the United States. Obviously, it's the #1 central bank in the world. I believe third and fourth, which again, don't quote me on that because I'm going from memory. We will look at that here in a little bit. The People's Bank of China and the central bank in Japan both did some of the biggest quantitative easing they've ever done. We've got some new special guests with us here today. We've got always the lovely Hannah Hughes, Crypto Sunglasses. We've got Prepper Crypto on the board sitting in for BJ, but also our new guests. We got Tony D as part of the Frankie Candles channel, and Bronson, our young guest, the future of Bitcoin. That's why we're all here. Actually, that's your Drew's son, right?
Yep, that's my boy.
So he's prepped and ready. Drew was telling us. There you go. He was telling us before the show started that, what was it? He thinks well, go ahead, Drew, tell him.
Well, he knows that Bitcoin equals bigger go-karts.
There you go.
Bigger houses,
nice.
more chickens. So,
Bitcoin equals present.
He's definitely cognizant that things improve. The more Bitcoin dad has, the better things are.
Better life. When Bitcoin pumps, everybody's happier, right? I mean, that's the way. It's definitely the way it works around here. So yeah, we can feel that. Also, has there been any rustling heard on another NU potential? Not that I'm not a big fan of most of the NU projects. I'll just say that. Yep. So I did answer your super chat. There you go. So real shout out. Obviously, you guys are a big part of the show. We want to hear your comments. Want to hear your questions. If you have anything, please drop them in the chat, and Hannah will read them out during the show. Squish RL Yo Chase Stucky. I don't even know how to say that. What do we got? Mercenary USA, Lacticus, Omni, Nightbot. We got Stephen Young, Sovereignty, G Farley's, Bearded Yeller. Interesting. So we got some new people on the Twitch there.
Nice.
Actually, I need to pull that up here so I can keep it.
This episode of Blockchain Basement will be a special one because Hannah will remove one piece of clothing from me.
Oh, from you?
For every super chat we get.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no.
Wow.
So
that's scary.
I just want to let you guys know.
Don't do it.
You thought that was going one direction. I did that on purpose.
Yeah.
But no, from me.
All right, so real quick, we're gonna take.
I didn't say when.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a peek at the price and we'll roll through. Because like I said, I'm very intrigued by a lot of this China stuff. So things pumping right now. Oh, look at this. Another Shiba swap. Stack still on the pump, mostly on the ordinals. Anchor, DeFi looking stronger and stronger in this next cycle. Obviously, we saw a lot of issues with centralized exchanges.
That's crazy.
So yeah, that's a crazy pump. 42% on the day. That's interesting. We should look into that. Ajax coming back. Clayton again. Conflux not really pulling back, up 457%. If you guys. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. Proof of work, proof of stake combo. Nick, you were telling me. You think Conflux is going to be the return of home mining?
Well, I actually called this one. If you go back on my tweets on Twitter, I called this one back in
Great place to tweet.
December or November of last year.
Really?
I said Conflux is a sleeping giant. Anyone who can mine it is going to do well. Conflux is hard to mine though.
Yeah.
You can't actually do it on most AMD cards. You have to have NVIDIA cards, and you have to have cards that are over 8 gigabytes. So it's very restrictive to mine. But yes. The way this market cap is working out and the way the rewards are and the way the difficulty is, you could really see a renaissance in home mining just on the back of Conflux.
Interesting. Let me see here. We got the wrong chat up there. I knew that those names did not look right. That Twitch chat is not from this stream because I'm looking here. I got Chemistry Bro, Casino Dog, Emmanuel. I was like, where are all the names I normally read? I think that's a Hit Gaming one.
Okay.
So yeah, let's pop. I was like, something's not right about this. I just couldn't put my finger on it. So yeah, let's get the shout out to you guys. Enzo Mining, Chemistry Bro, Crypto Tony with our daily GitHub update. We've got Polkadot Kusama coming in #1, Cosmos #2, Ethereum #4. Corey Harden in the chat. Steve's God, dude, what does mine say? These are the true basement dwellers that I know and love.
There it is.
Yeah, let's see. A lot of those in the Candle Mafia you were saying, Tony. But make sure you pull that mic. Point that towards your face. There you go.
Shout out Candle Mafia. I see you, chemistry, bro.
Yeah. So, Tony, real quick before we get too much into the macro and what's going on in China, like I said, I believe the biggest quantitative easing they've ever done out of both of those central banks. Tell us real quick who you are, what your connection is to Frankie Candles, and kind of how you got into crypto, just in a couple minutes.
So yeah, what's going on, guys? My name is Tony, better known as Tony D in Frank's channel. I've known Frank since middle school, but we became very close after high school. And I got into crypto alongside Frank probably late 2016, 2017. And yeah, I think I looked up my first Coinbase transaction, and I think it was Litecoin.
There you go. And Tony, I would say some people were early on were saying Frank needs a TJ, and Tony was the first one that says, I want to be Frank's TJ. So I would say Frank is to Tony D as I am to Ben when it comes to Big Boy Crypto. A lot of what you guys know and love about the Frankie Candles channel is a lot of Tony D's work behind the scenes. I mean, obviously, if you guys are in the Discord, you know him. He's very active in the Discord. But he also makes a lot of that stuff happen, helps keep Frank organized, keep him on track, help him create more always, which is everything we're pushing to do here. So just huge shout out to all of them, and really appreciate everything you've been doing. Great. He joined us full time not too long ago. So again, really appreciate all of that,
guys,
and welcome in. And could you check the YouTube chat as well?
Hey, Corey Harden, what's up, bro?
Yeah,
We got BJ in the chat.
yeah, I saw that. Biscuit. Shout out to Biscuit Jesus. He's been, I believe, in Philly or wherever the Magic tournament was. I saw his message there. It was a really cool shot. How Magic is made. He was showing all the behind the scenes of Magic the Gathering tournament. Very big production going on there. He will be back with us, I believe, tomorrow. Is Drew my TJ now? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, TJ, do you have a TJ?
Hudson is my TJ.
I was gonna say Ellie.
Yeah. Huddy in the house. There we go. So perfect. Now we got the right chats going on.
Yeah. Someone did ask, is Conflux the same as Flux? No.
Yes. No.
Very different.
Yeah. Conflux again is if you code, it's the #1 pumper. If you go to it's CFX, on here on CoinMarketCap, 500%. It's supposedly, Bank of Hong Kong opened this up to retail traders. A lot of people piled in. Lockdowns are ending, and yeah, make sure those chats are scrolling too if you can. I know it's kind of wonky over there, but all right, real quick, I pulled these up just because I thought it was interesting. Nothing really groundbreaking here. I just thought, like, when you're looking at crypto, when you're looking at data and information, it's always fun to look at it displayed in different ways. So Benjamin Cowan tweeted this. It's the Bitcoin ROI bands, and you can just kind of see if you pull this up, like, in profit, basically when you're up 100x, it's that bright green, and then it just as down to red is 2x. As the price goes up, you can just see, basically it's getting a little. This is another way to see the diminishing returns or the flattening of some of this. Obviously, It's a little less dramatic as time goes on. You've got, you're seeing more gradual moves. I just thought it was an interesting way to see it, and you can very clearly see, it's getting less deep, so to speak, into the red as time goes on. I just thought it was kind of a fun way to look at it. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys see anything particularly interesting there other than the diminishing returns. We've got it for Ethereum as well. And this, like in looking at the difference between the Bitcoin one and so here's Bitcoin, here's Ethereum.
Okay.
And you can see it's kind of less dramatic on Ethereum, I guess. It's like you can see the price spikes are a little bit different. It moved less time in the straight green. Now, obviously, this is times on the major Bitcoin holder sides to be at these crazy high levels. You got less of the people. You got huge amounts of people that were up 100x on Ethereum here, a lot less there, maybe because there's more disbursement of it into different holders, different, purchase points, all that sort of stuff. People tend to hold on to their Bitcoin longer. So even in this last cycle, you had Bitcoin, holding into this high range right here. So anyway, I just thought it was an interesting way to display it. For me, looking at a lot of different things and a lot of different formats is just, makes it easier to process information. So I just wanted to pull that up, share that with you guys. Shout out to Benjamin Cowan. He's a great data analyst and pulls up all sorts of different things. What you got, Nick?
I just had a question for you, TJ. Like, when it seems like you're laddering, we're all accumulating right now.
Sure.
Okay. and then you ladder out on your profits.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when for you personally, I know you don't do financial advice, just for you personally, when are you going to start like a Bitcoin number or Ethereum number where you're going to begin to ladder out? And then really, like, what is that time on the backside of laddering out where you're like, okay, I just need to dump the rest of my bag? Because it seems like to me, we have like 2 weeks where we're at the top and then it goes away.
Yeah. No, that's a great question. And this is something I'm going to answer differently in this cycle. I'm going to do it differently in this cycle than I did last cycle. That was one major thing I learned is not as much the and Ben will talk about this a lot. It's not as much the number as it is the time away from the halving or the time into the cycle. So obviously we know the halving's coming. I believe is it May right now of 24 or is it March at this point? I can't remember.
I think it's March.
March. Yeah. May. It was May last time. Now it's late March, early April 2024. And then we'll have most of 2024 is when a lot of the fun comes, you know, and then we get into Q1 2025. So it's probably going to be, I'm going to be looking to take majority of the profits Q1 2025. You know, it's like on the timeline of things, you know, when you start to get a year away from the halving, generally that's close to the top. Just like a year away from the top is generally the bottom. I mean, and these are rough, you know, rough numbers. We can go, we probably should do some of the actual math on days and blocks and all that sort of stuff to try to nail that timeline within a couple weeks. Because you're right, there is a clear top. And again, we didn't get as clear of a top in this last cycle because of, we think, a lot of what was going on with FTX and Three Arrows Capital, a lot of the forced institutional money shorting, kind of holding the price down, keeping us from getting that blow off top. So what I'm going to do, generally I'm laddering in, you know, anything close to 20K or 1,400, 20K for Bitcoin, 1,400 for Ethereum is when I've been piling in. You know, if you can get anything under those numbers, great, pile in even more. You know, when we went up to, you know, I don't mind buying at 21. I don't mind buying at 1,500, things like that at Ethereum. But it's really that number range. But really, I'm fine with accumulating most of this year, except for if we do, and we're going to look at some things that could create this mid-year breakout for us like we experienced in 2019. If we pull back, I'll be accumulating again. And then laddering out profits in 2024, basically Q4 24 and Q1 25, I'm going to be laddering out, but trying to get out pretty quickly the more we get into 2025, because I don't want to be caught chasing it down like we did last time. Where we knew, like we pretty much predicted the timeline, but we were so focused on 100K that even, I mean, I remember, like, shout out to Elron, Mr. Elron Schmeeds. I remember being in the studio with him and, you know, like, when you're seeing these crazy meme coins popping off and all these altcoins, he's like, it's altcoin season, right? It's altcoin. I'm like, no. This is not really what altcoin season feels like. Trust me, you'll know. It'll be so euphoric. You'll see 40% pumps every single day on these altcoins. And, you know, like for 2 weeks straight. And it's going to seem insane. And we never really quite got there this time. But we did see that same type of euphoria where you got meme coins getting shilled over and over and over. You had, you know, these charity coins and, you know, again, it's like you talk to me, all the different in-use were blowing up during that time period. It should have, with SNL, when mainstream media, when everybody at the gyms talking about it, it's like, okay, we should have known, like, these are all clear top signals. When everybody's considering, oh, I'm quitting my job to be a full-time trader, you know, I don't ever have to work again because I'm going to do this crypto stuff. Like, that's when, generally speaking, is probably going to be a top. So I didn't pay as close attention to the timeline because, again, I thought 100K was inevitable. And it's like, all right, when we get 89, 90, I'll start taking profits there. So this time I'm not going to be number focused, even though I did see somebody ask, and I actually want to ask you guys, because I have a firm belief that this will be the end of diminishing returns when it comes to Bitcoin this cycle. Because we got shortcut last cycle, I think we're going to, you know, and I think you can check my math, but I want to say it was a roughly 2.3x on the previous all-time high. Yeah, 24. Yeah, exactly. So like we hit 20K, we hit a little bit over 60K, you know, we hit 69K. So 2 and change on the 2x on Bitcoin. I think we're going to see greater than that this time, which obviously is a pretty bold statement. It means we're going to be, I'm saying, up over 200K for Bitcoin, which should send altcoins really moving. Oh, Erkelson said 3.2. Interesting. But I want to ask you guys if you think we'll see the end of diminishing returns. But bottom line is I'm not going to be focused on the number. I'm going to be focused on the time. Does that answer the question in like a bazillion words? But so what do you guys think? Do you think this will be the end of diminishing returns, or do you think we will see, you know, consistent to the trend where Bitcoin doesn't quite 2x in this cycle?
Tony,
what do you think?
Is it?
next this cycle, where do you think Bitcoin is going to go at the top? You think we're going to see end of diminishing returns?
From where we are right now to what, the next bull cycle?
Yeah, so like in the last previous bull cycles, obviously like the 2012 cycle was a huge run up for Bitcoin because you're going from basically zero all the way up. Then we got, the 2016, 17 cycle went up again a little less than it did on the first one, and then 2020, 2021 was up even a little bit less than what we were in 2016, 2017. And you can clearly see it's getting less and less on, you could almost, I just closed them, but if I had kept up those Bitcoin ROI bands, you could kind of see we're getting less of a pump on Bitcoin each time. I'm predicting we're going to get more pump this time than we did last time. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree that we're going to get more of a pump. I mean, that's what I want to agree with and believe, but because of everything going on outside of it, the macro, everything could change.
Yep.
It's a totally new cycle that we haven't experienced in Bitcoin yet.
Interesting. Yep. What do you think, Nick?
At this point, with all the different economic data that's been coming out, these sunglasses are nice.
Fire. Love it.
At some point, I'll get to a point to where like I work with a sunglass brand and I get holograms on them and I can sell them. I just have like a sunglass army, like Squirtle Squad.
Yeah, you can collaborate with Tom Crown.
I would love it.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's just so much dicey stuff on the macro that it's really hard for me to say either way. I mean, just the thing you put in the Slack today about the freaking debt. Like we're now in like a debt spiral that there's no way we don't get to Weimar Republic levels of inflation. And like, what does that mean? Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin could get to $500,000 in 3 years, but like,
because you're saying through the death of the dollar rather than the strength of Bitcoin. I mean, it's a little bit of both, obviously.
It is. It is. Like I believe in Bitcoin in the face of the dollar going to less than zero. But I mean, it's so dicey right now. I can't even say.
Yeah. Well, and I tend to agree, and I think we're going to see some currency wars, which we're going to dig into that in just a little bit. It's obviously part of what spurred things going into 2019. We got all these different nations holding debt in each other's currencies, and they all know we can print this currency, and it basically makes what they're holding less valuable, but we get the advantage of printing it. That's kind of the game we play with the US dollar. Some of the other major world currencies started to realize, like, wait a minute, we're holding all your debt, and we're giving you real goods for this debt, and then you print this paper and make what we're holding less valuable. We're going to print more paper and make what you're holding less valuable. And it creates that negative feedback loop for fiat currencies, but it's like Drew was just saying, extremely bullish for hard assets or things with a better monetary policy. Chemistry Bro in the chat said, if we really get some proper regulation, we could see less of meme coin / rug pull boom, as it'll be more legally risky, and some of that liquidity could flow into Bitcoin and other top projects instead of the meme coin shillery, which I tend to agree with. If we get stricter regulation, which it's not going to eliminate it because that's here in the US, obviously, and a lot of that stuff happens outside of the US, and maybe it might be more difficult for US citizens to participate, but those coins will still be there. It's going to be interesting to kind of look at where all that stuff goes. We need some more cool stuff to do with the reward points. Yeah, paper planes, we will work on that. We've got some ideas potentially for some fun rewards. But
hey, TJ, I had a corner case I want to get your opinion on. Okay. The debt ceiling fight. Could that actually save America's ass? Because we're not, if we do a thing where we don't increase the debt ceiling and we can't buy any more debt at this super high interest rate, and then the Fed's like, oh wait, we've just bought ourselves more time to lower interest rates so we can start issuing more debt.
Maybe in theory, but I don't see them they never don't increase the debt ceiling.
Right.
They almost have to increase the debt ceiling because of their backs are up against the wall. And if we look at some of this debt stuff, like you said, that I put in here is pretty scary. Here's just a quick, we'll come back to this, but I mean, if you look at the cost of servicing this debt.
The kid is not in the room, Urkelson. Stop.
Yeah, the kid left. But, you look at here's our growth. You ramp up interest rates and then boom, cost of servicing debt obviously, goes through the roof. And we're going to look at that here in just a little bit. But
I can only get so erect.
Yeah. No, Drew loves this stuff. Yeah. Drew, I mean, it's the age old question of when will we have to pay the piper, right? You know, like obviously we keep printing. We've got extremely irresponsible fiscal policy in this country, but it's worked for us because we are the reserve currency. And it allows us to play this game where, yeah, we devalue, but it devalues everyone else less. It keeps the United States in a position of power. Obviously, we're moving out of that now with a global currency and with global trade happening at a much more frequent rate, I guess you could say. So now, and actually, I thought I put it in here. I didn't see it, but there was actually a really good clip of Putin, love him or hate him. He's got a much better understanding of crypto and digital assets than most other world leaders. He gets asked this question of like, oh, will Russia create its own digital currency? And he's like, well, that's a flawed question in and of itself, because a true digital currency isn't owned by any one state. It's a global currency that can be traded among everybody. Yeah. So no, of course we won't. Like, we might have a CBDC or something there, but that's not truly what a cryptocurrency is. So he gets it in a much more realistic way of what we're really moving towards here. But yeah, we'll get into that. Have any of you guys interacted with DeFi on Cosmos with Osmosis Zone? Been messing around with it? I have a little bit. I know Johnny's been messing with it. Have you messed with it at all, Drew?
No, I haven't messed with Cosmos yet. And I'm about to, though. I'm about to deploy some Ethereum into other DeFi plays. Not all my Ethereum, so don't get too upset at me.
Yeah,
but, I'm gonna deploy Ethereum into it, and then I'm gonna buy with fiat currency a bunch of data and storage type systems. Layer 0 is what I'm looking at for my fiat purchases. But yeah, Cosmos is one of them that I'm watching. I'm just kind of interested to see how the governance vote goes.
Yeah, perfect. Look at that. Yeah, and actually stay tuned. If you guys like, we're going to talk a little bit towards the end of the show on some of these potential DeFi picks that work well, and to keep an eye on some Arbitrum stuff. Again, you guys know I love Cosmos. I mentioned Canto yesterday. I saw some of you guys in the comments on YouTube talking about Canto coming up in the token metrics numbers. So if you guys like it when we talk about deep altcoin picks, when we talk about kind of what we're thinking of how to position ourselves for this bull market, smash the like button. We got about three. Right. How many people do we have? Yeah, about 400 people watching on YouTube. We know if we can get 420 likes, we're winning at something in life. So if we can get 420 likes on the YouTubes,
shout out Tom Crown. That's always his like goal.
Is it 420? Yeah, and then one day we'll get to 69 420. I know that's Nick's, that's Nick's goal for his Twitter following. But
that's right, baby.
We like to have fun here on the basement. Not that we know what the significance of that number is or why it matters, but
let's just get to 69 likes on TikTok too.
There you go. It's a fun arbitrary goal. It should be pretty easy for you guys to get there. I know we've literally ended twice with 420 viewers the last few days, which is really fun. So and I love you guys on the basement to follow and sub and do all that kind of stuff. And if you guys want to be extra super big fans and keep YouTube open simultaneously, obviously YouTube gets this message out to a lot more people, which is why we're doing all this. Obviously, we want to share the wealth and share the positive vibes, because we're all trying to change our lives and get. I was talking with another crypto influencer. They responded to something I put on Instagram saying, TJ, tell people to vote. Yeah, vote in the Twitch poll, guys. Will we see diminished returns to continue on Bitcoin? I want to see what the results of that is. That's a great poll. We could actually throw that up on YouTube too.
And I have some opinion on that. The diminished returns is like, statistically it should be there. Like, we were at a 35x the first run, a 17.5x the second run, at a 3.5x the third run. But there was a lot of TradFi institutions jacking up what should have been a much bigger move in the last bull run. And now that we see these currency tug of wars going on between China and Russia and yada yada, I think that your theory on a much larger or heavier upswing to Bitcoin is very tangible. A lot of people think it's moon math or whatever, but look at what happened after the Second World War. It was a Bretton Woods movement, and I feel like this secondary Bretton Woods movement is going to happen after this conflict is completed. It's just a matter of if it's going to be on NATO's side or BRIC side, who gets to be the holder of that. But I think either way, either option is going to choose digital currencies as a portion of the backing at the minimum. So
yeah, I agree with that. The question is which ones and why. Somebody asked about the WF coins. I have seen a lot of that ISO 222 stuff has come out to be more or less debunked. I mean, it does exist, but the coins that are being have been rumored to be part of it are much less relevant than they were perceived to be. So that's, again, you guys have heard me talk about it on the channel. It's kind of why I stay away from a lot of the politicized projects, because it's way too hard to predict which direction they go and why and all that sort of stuff. I mean, you can. It's a different way to speculate for sure on, you know, like if you like Ripple versus Stellar versus what was some of the other ones? H-bar was supposed to be in there, right?
I own all 3 of them.
Yeah,
you know, I do,
and it's fine. I personally like to lean towards smart contract platforms, like you guys mentioned, Cosmos. You know, Ethereum is always a favorite just because it's it's done really well and it has one of the best ecosystems. You got Phantom, Avalanche, obviously Cardano, a lot of other big ones, Dot, they all have pros and cons. I'm not saying you should run out and, load up on any of those. I'm just saying that's the niche, my favorite niche. Now you can still play with AI, you can still play with metaverse, you can still play like niche and narrative related stuff is the best way to make money in crypto. So we are seeing 67% on the basement say will we see diminished returns continue? We will not see them continue. They're saying no, diminished returns will not continue, which means that we will have a better pump. Which who doesn't want to lean bullish, right?
Yeah.
And we're gonna look at why right now with some of this stuff, because I think we've been talking a lot about a mid-year pump. It's consistent with the timeline. It's consistent with the cycles. What could cause that? We're going to look at that right now of why some of these Chinese projects or Eastern projects, I would even say, because it's not necessarily just China. It is China, specifically their central bank and the Japanese central bank. But a lot of times Korean projects and just Eastern projects in general tend to get lumped into that. Like I mentioned Icon last time. So, and this guy, I sent this to you guys for ATB as well. I think he'd be a great person to have on ATB. Yeah. It's like TED Talks Macro. He has its own YouTube channel. He probably did his own video about this, so also be sure to go check him out. There's a new player in town. He says China's central bank performed its single largest liquidity injection on Friday, which obviously, and then we all woke up Monday morning and saw the pumps happening to help support their economy out of the historically depressed levels. And there's more to come. And Drew, you've been calling this. You've been looking at a lot of the bond issues over there, saying like they have to do this or it's going under, right?
Yeah, 100%, man. And it's a super boring subject. I know. Don't yell at me in the comments, but bonds are like how money's created. It's created out of debt. Stay tuned for my next song because I'm going to be singing about it, all about it, and kind of quantifying it in a nice short form for everyone on TikTok especially. But basically, the Japanese market was doing bond buybacks while the U.S. is trying to continue its quantitative tightening, and the main trade partners between each other are also holding the large amounts of treasuries between the two. It's a relationship to keep the trade of goods going, to keep that trade of hands going, and they had no choice but to start doing the treasury repos. And now, in my opinion, the next step is China's going to have to do quantitative easing at the behoovement of everyone in their real estate sector that got roasted. Me and Nick were talking about this morning. I really don't think China cares about those people, though. I think that they're just going to cook the books and move the economy forward as a whole in general. Super brutal, but that's the honest truth that I see. And, I see the U.S. turning QE on at the beginning of next year. Absolutely.
Well, and like you said, like what I was talking about earlier with the currency wars, when other central banks crank up the QE, we almost have to in a response.
Right.
And it almost gives us the freedom to like, hey, they're doing it. We should do it. We have to compete. So if we look at this graph here, you can see obviously, this red mark here shows how much, this is in billions of yuan. So you can see, 18, well, this is really early 2019. You can see this trending up like big print, yeah. 2019, big print, boom, 2020, serious tightening going on, 2021 tightening, early 2022. And then, like you said, there was no option but to do this major easing here. Also, somebody, Happy Techie in the basement says, has Nick ever suspected anyone of being a mole at the office? No, he is the mole at the office. We established that theory very early on that, but trust me, ask Ben, Nick is the resident mole. So, we love Nick.
But for who?
Like, that is the $1 million question.
I know.
We
That's
never
why I'm
know.
good at my job. They don't know who. They can't pin me down.
No, he's a great mole. And he's very. You got to rely on him for all this information. He knows his game. So anyway, biggest print ever since. Out of historically depressed levels, more to come. This was a really interesting thing. China boasts the world's second largest economy, has recently expanded at a pace of 2.2, faster than the United States. People's Bank of China, or PBOC, are the world's largest central bank with $6 trillion in assets. Did I say third? Yeah, world's third largest central bank with $6 trillion in assets, and play a key role in the global bank liquidity. So again, we talk a lot about the central bank here in the United States, which I believe. Yeah, the Fed, that's this red one here, and then the European Central Bank. These are obviously very, very big, and you can see their assets ballooning here. This is look at this is 2020. when we started doing all, like, that's basically when the Fed stepped in and said, yeah, we'll buy all your assets, and like you saw the Fed just boom.
It's almost like someone sneezed right there.
Yeah, it's like, boom, we'll take it and we'll take more. Now that we've got all the assets, now we'll ramp up your interest rates, which we're going to talk about that hopefully if we have time, because there's a lot to unpack here. This is this is all I do at night is like do this reading and research. Like,
is that a meme coin chart or what?
Yeah, exactly. No, it's the Federal Reserve's balance sheet. But then over
here, new coin is it?
Over here, you've got the Bank of Japan and the People's Bank of China. These red and these green, and you'll see like we're obviously still tightening for Europe and United States. We're still on the downtrend, and then boom, massive spike on both of these. Yep. This is early 2023. You can't quite see because I'm blocking it there, but yeah, you can see this. Basically, this was Friday. Both of these things happened on Friday, which is why we saw the pump. So like I said, at first I wasn't thinking we were going to see, like I've heard this. Oh yeah, I've heard these China, the Eastern coins narrative before. Now I'm starting. Like I was like, I don't know how much stock to put in this. I do a little bit of research. Yeah, this is real. This is going to have an impact. It's definitely something to keep an eye on here. Yeah. And he goes on to talk a little bit more about while most analysts are focused on how the Fed tightening will reprise risk assets this cycle, they're failing to consider the scale of easing in the East. Japan, the fourth largest central bank in China, injecting liquidity into global markets, easily outpacing the Fed tightening efforts. And I had pulled this chart up a week or so ago to show this is basically global total assets, or really the tightening and easing in general. So obviously everybody was printing in 2020 and early 2021, and then everybody was tightening in 2022. So this right here is the process we just went through that wrecked all the markets. And then boom, we can clearly see we've bottomed when it comes to global money supply. And that's what's really starting to, create some of this pump in risk on assets, because they're going to have to, they're printing this money in order for people to put them in high risk assets that they can speculate on. And we know they love to speculate in the East. That's what their economy is really built on, debt and speculation. And it's really not just them. It's really markets all over the world. We are incentivized to go high risk, high return. We need major growth, which is why people are looking at AI and tech. Like tech has been that major growth sector for the last handful of years. Now we're seeing a pull back on tech, and people are having to go into even more riskier things and even more riskier things. So the fact that the global, this should be very bullish, I think, for a lot of people. The fact that we've seen the global money supply has bottomed and we're on the move back up. Now, how quickly we move back up is the big question, and how all these things interact and respond to each other is something we're gonna have to keep an eye on. So let's see. Thinking of global liquidity rather than U.S. in isolation could prove to be more powerful when analyzing crypto markets. That's basically what I just said. I agree 100%. The Fed are tightening / risk off, but the world's third and fourth largest bank are easing, which is causing an uptick in global liquidity. So this is, again, like I was saying, looking at information displayed in different ways to me is helpful. This one's a lot easier to understand, and really, like, it's just very clear to me on this one. This one might make more sense to somebody else looking at it this way. I just, do whatever works for you. So this is very important, and this is something that's easy to, we all live in our own bubbles. It's easy to forget this. Crypto is not tied to any particular economy or entity, but rather is a liquidity junkie. It longs for the risk-hungry investor to get cash and bet on the fastest horses. That's set to be exactly what will happen this year in China. The makings of an economy recovery in China were evident when the zero COVID policy was abandoned in late 2022. Lockdowns during 2022 derailed the expansive growth that's been so characteristic of their economy. So, like, again, we talked about that, ending lockdowns, getting back to spending, getting back to rebuilding their economy. And it's going to become an arms race when it comes to crypto. So anyway, I thought that was really, really interesting to take a look at. And we're going to, I guess, let's see, we want to talk more about debt. What do you, let me know in the chat. Let me put a 1 in the chat, whether you're attic or basement. Let me know. Do you want me to talk more about, interest rates and how debt affects us? Or do you want me to talk about which coins in China might, like, with some picks that I think could potentially benefit from some of these moves? Because I think I know what you guys are going to say.
Yeah,
but,
you know what you're
I vote picks,
Yeah, so let me rearrange
TJ,
this, but yes.
So they're doing QE, and is this a coiling spring under interest rates? And then when interest rates start to ease off, then it's like ka-chow.
Go ahead.
Yeah. That's all.
Interest rates on all central banks, right? Or specifically U.S.
The U.S. So the U.S. is really the cork in the bottle for this thing. So there can be a whole bunch of upward momentum, like all this pressure building. But until we do QE and we pull back on interest rates, that's when things are really going to go bananas.
I think so. Or at least even flatten off on it. You know, like we're done. Like we might. I think there's supposed to be 1 or 2 more 25 basis points. Is it 1 or 2? Do you know off the top of your head? To hit their goal. I think it might be 1, might be 2. But yeah, as soon as they back off, like they're done raising, I think. And then start doing the QE, and I don't know if they'll actually cut rates because
I think they're going to cut.
Yeah, if they hold them and then ease, basically there's going to be pain from these interest rates, and that's what all these next graphs show. Like your guys are getting wrecked on real estate prices, mortgage prices. You know, there's a whole article on how the Fed f's with everybody's living, just basically by the way it affects mortgage rates. I think they have interest rates for houses have pulled back a little bit. I think we're still at like 5.99 or 6%. Is that right? True.
They're coming down, and it's perfect timing. Get into crypto. They'll have low rates, in my opinion, in 2025 again, because they're addicted to this stuff. The economy can't exist without it. And then you can go and buy up all the bankrupt Carvana cars and the low interest rate homes. That's what I did last time, and it's fantastic. So, yeah.
I love it.
But even saying 0.5 could come next, so who knows? Yeah, so 2, what was 2? Was 2 picks? Everybody said 2.
Yeah, 2.
Yeah. All right. Well, I figured. All right. Well, this is one Ben and I actually were. Oops, wrong button. Ben and I were talking about this the other day. This narrative right here, Tron, always pitched and sold as the Chinese Ethereum. When in 2017, this is one of the hottest coins it ICO'd. You know, after Ethereum, they got a lot of flack for basically just copy and pasting the Ethereum white paper. It was pretty much a straight rip off of the code and everything. So it got a lot of kind of flack for it. However, it's a very relevant project in the, you know, I discount it because it's basically, you know, it's really Justin Sun is what drives and moves a lot of it. That being said, I think it's very well positioned for this to be reborn, especially with the easing that's going on in the East. And then like we'll get into this article, but like if you come, I'm a big fan of DeFi Llama. You come and check this out here. You've got Ethereum. And then Tron right there, number 2 on TVL. And then, you know, Binance Smart Chain behind it. Now, obviously, Arbitrum's Ethereum, Polygon's Ethereum, Optimism is Ethereum. So really, you've got Ethereum, Tron, and Binance Smart Chain as the, you know, primary chains that with TVL. You know, these are layer 2s on Ethereum. So, you know, what do you think if it does become a battle of East versus West? We know JP Morgan's very heavily invested in Ethereum. Where do you think the East is going to land? You know, Tron is there. It has an ecosystem. It's built out. It's got support. Yep. It's got TVL. It's got liquidity, which is a very important thing when you're talking about DeFi. And it's got seasoned veterans in the space. So we'll look at this. I don't know how much detail this article goes into, but Tron shared a report in the network's notable developments that took place in the last week. One of the highlights was the sharp increase in the number of burnt tokens, which they've always been running with this narrative. Which surpassed 15 billion. This could exert significant deflationary pressure on the price of TRX with days to come. Again, token burns, they sound great, and they're somewhat relevant. They're not quite, you still need the demand. It's decreasing the supply is great, but you still need to increase the demand, which I think is what we might start to see coming out here soon. Yeah. The other thing is we're seeing the stablecoin wars is, I think, going to be very closely tied to what we're seeing with these central bank wars as well. Currency wars with fiat are now transferring to currency wars in digital assets, with USDT kind of being the chosen stable coin of the East, with USDC being the chosen stable coin of the West. We're seeing they're putting a lot of pressure on Binance and BUSD, and who's stepping in to process a lot of the BUSD? It's Tron. It's Justin Sun. That's becoming the network. Basically, Binance Smart Chain and Tron are pairing up and doing a lot of stuff, while USDC is kind of becoming the chosen one for Ethereum. So again, this is kind of a long-term narrative. Some of this stuff could take a while to play out. So, you know, he was saying, no, so Chemistry Bro saying there's 2 more planned raises at 0.25. That was the general thought till recently. But after last CPI missed, some were saying they maybe get more aggressive. I think so far we've seen them be consistent all the way through with what they said they were going to do. If they do 2 more at 2.5, I think that gets them to the total number they said almost a year ago. I would imagine they will hold strong on that, and then you know, let the chips fall where they may, and then maybe get back to easing because they're going to have, again, they will change the way they define these numbers to make them in their favor if they need to.
I have something I wanted to interject here.
All right, hit me.
How crazy, if you think back, so China banned Bitcoin access to the majority of the Republic in Hong Kong right at $60,000.
Yep.
And now they're opening it back up at 20.
Wow.
They're playing some, I mean, they ain't stupid. And like you said, he knows his stuff. And he may be protecting his people and then opening it back up when it's a perfect time to get into it. I'm just saying, like, it's kind of what it looks like.
It isn't it. That's an interesting theory. Didn't really consider. I generally don't consider them protecting their people, but they are, savvy investors. And actually, it's not a bad theory. Banning buying at the top and opening it back up at the bottom.
Not so much about protecting the people, but like increasing their economic power, right? I mean, if you get the economic power by protecting them, just as in short term, because you're in a race financially with the United States. I mean, it makes a lot of sense for me for thinking about it. If I was leading China, and I had that type of control, like, my wife calls me a tyrant, so let's not mince words here. So
yeah. No, I think that's a great idea. I didn't really consider that, but yeah, you look at the timing of it and it's a solid theory.
Right.
I mean, we'll have to see how it plays out. And especially they were tightening during that time too, and they're getting back on the printers earlier. So they're giving their people the capital they need to pile into these future assets first. I kind of like it. This is the Bitcoin way. Did Arbitrum release yet? Sorry, late to the party. No, they haven't. We do have a thread here on Arbitrum, how to get involved on that network for the potential airdrop. If ever it comes, I can't wait for it to actually open up because I'm going to be scooping a lot of it. Everybody loves Arbitrum, especially developers, especially people using the Ethereum network. So real quick, we'll keep going through this TRX story. They're burning a ton of tokens. Like I said, that's positive for reducing the supply, not necessarily great for increasing the demand. But I think we're going to see some other things that increase the demand. With the number of new tokens generated being flat, the net issuance rate or the difference in number of burned tokens generated on the number of tokens burnt fell even further. Steady drop in issuance rate makes the token scarce. About 600 million TRX tokens have been moved out of circulation. And again, this is something that can be gamed a little bit, but Justin Sun knows how to play that game. I mean, he's got a background in gaming. He was very early in crypto. He was an active trader. He really knows what he's doing when it comes to working some of this stuff. He's very well known for being the announcement of the announcement was born with Justin Sun Tron. And again, Ben and I joke and laugh about Tron a lot because last cycle it was all hype and no substance. That could still be the case. I'm not telling you this is going to be the greatest chain to hold for the rest of time. It could still be a lot of hype, but as the hype returns, as we start to see the bull market come, as we start to see Bitcoin pump, this could be an opportunity where you accumulate some of these projects now. I mean, if you go, I think it's still in the top 20. Let's see. Where does Tron come in right now?
It's probably there because of
16 Tether right now. So, and it's right in this same range. If you look at really, 6 to 7 billion, you got Avalanche, you got Tron, you got Uniswap, and then it's just Avalanche and Tron and then Litecoin in that 6 billion range. So they've got, and then the 24-hour volume. And again, some of this can be gamed a little bit, but it's still got volume, still got liquidity. That's another thing I like to do sometimes to look at, to sort by volume. Yeah. Obviously, and this is the big one right here, Tether. There's a lot of Tether flying around right now, and we're pushing it out of the West. It's getting pushed to the East. And who's sucking a lot of this up? Both Tether and BUSD are moving towards Binance Smart Chain and Tron, in my opinion, because they're getting shut down by Paxos. They're trying to clear a path for the USDC. The East or the West wants to see USDC number one. They want to see most global trade happening through US dollar coin, because obviously that I feel like is pretty much the chosen stable, CBDC for the United States. They've said they're going to use the private sector. Circle is Goldman Sachs, in my opinion. And then they look at Tether and BUSD as the enemy, not really good for the dollar. So, but if you go out of the stable coins, obviously you've got Bitcoin and Ethereum up there. You've got a lot of volume on XRP. Then you still got a lot of volume on Solana. This is an outlier right here. We've seen this major pump on Anchor volume there, which again, we're going to start to see more and more into decentralized projects. Again, Conflux pumping on this news. And Neo was another interesting one. This is another China, Eastern project that, again, same time, Tron and Neo were big hype in 2017. These were like the altcoins that crushed. Some of you guys know it as Ant Shares. If you had it when it was Ant Shares, you're probably not watching this channel because you're already retired on an island somewhere. because yeah, it did extremely well. So anyway, just these are some kind of unconventional things to keep an eye on that might set you up very well for the next cycle. Let's see what else this says. Tron escalating.
They're murdering Joel again.
Yeah, Joel's dying in the other room. So TRX saw a sharp jump in development activity, which signaled that new upgrades and enhancements could meet their deadlines, despite the weighted sentiment drop moving into negative territory. Transaction volume rebounded after a steep decline observed on February 18th. However, volume could pick up if TRX continues to show promising figures as far as its burning activity. So again, this article is a little heavy on the burning. I'm not as interested in that as I am the support for the stable coins. And again, looking here at the TVL, you know, like looking at as DeFi begins to become more and more relevant and centralized exchanges are continually under attack. Like we're not going to get rid of centralized exchanges in this next cycle. They're going to be here. They need convenience for the user. They provide a lot of utility and simplicity of use. But as these I hate to say war, but as these battles get more and more intense between the East versus the West, stablecoin or the reserve currency versus the alternative currency, we're going to see DeFi become to play a continuing growing role, and getting in things now that have strong DeFi plays. I think again we could see a whole new DeFi summer in 2024, just like we did in 2020. Right around the time of the halving, we saw DeFi explode on Ethereum. I think we could start to see DeFi explode on some of these other chains that have been building out, whether it's Cosmos, whether it's Tron, whether it's Cardano, whether it's Avalanche or Polkadot. You know, it takes time for these things to get set up. You need stable coins. You need a certain amount of ecosystem. You need a certain amount of lenders and market makers and providers. So there you go. That's my 2 cents on all that. I feel like I've been talking a lot.
Well, I mean, I think the DeFi move is totally like very tangible because the cat's out of the bag on what Sam Bankman was able to do with centralized exchanges, and I think that worries a lot of major players on having these, you know, small little fuzzy-haired nerds in control of $10 billion that they can arbitrage and send wherever, and you know, have group sex or whatever with the cash. So.
Hey, I got a haircut. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to throw you under the bus.
I'm sitting right here.
Yeah, unbelievable. You know, unbelievable. So yeah.
Yeah, real quick, I'll spin down this real quick. I feel like I've spent a lot of time on this, but Arbitrum thread here. Actually, I'll just go retweet this. Go follow. Yeah, here's your Pepe.
Get him out of here.
Yeah. Drew loves Pepe the Frog. Arbitrum, the big meteor coming to DeFi. Tons of TVL. I just retweeted this. Go follow Hit Network. You know, at Hit Network on Twitter if you want to find this thread. It's a great thread by Route 2FI, talking about Arbitrum. You know, again, Johnny's been doing a lot of this, digging on us and getting involved in these. You know, obviously, I think it's in here. Like, how do you get involved? It's basically working on a couple different decks. You know, what is Arbitrum? What makes it special? 3 great DeFi protocols. You know, Arbitrum is Ethereum's biggest layer 2, which I just showed here. You know, it's not even close when it comes. Well, it might be a little close. Let's see. 1.8 billion on Arbitrum, 1.1 on Matic, Polygon. So no, it's pretty big gap there. And again, Arbitrum doesn't even have a token yet. So number 1 layer 2 blockchain is an extension of Ethereum that benefits from the security assurances provided by the Ethereum network while operating independently. It can do all of this because it's an optimistic rollup. Optimistic rollups speed up Ethereum smart contract by using a second layer chain to handle most of the network while still recording everything on the main chain for security. What makes it so special? Everybody's been calling Arbitrum their home, but why? Oh, here we go. It's the same thing. This is right from DeFi. That's what we were just looking at. So it's been growing at an astonishing rate for many months, and it's currently sits at the 4th biggest chain by TVL and 3rd biggest chain for its 24-hour trading volume. So again, watching the volume on it matters. It also has something worth more than any kind of TVL, and that's a community. I agree 100%. Like I said, developers love it. Arbitrum is one of the most vibrant, innovative communities in the whole DeFi space. Innovation happens at a large scale when there are developers wanting to create better products. Boom. Developers, you'll hear this a lot from people that have been in this space a long time. It's one of Charles Hoskinson's major thing. Developers drive the space. Where there is development, there will be activity. Where there's activity, there will be an ecosystem. Where the ecosystem is, the money will flow. Where the money flows, the traders go and the speculation happens, and and the cycle continues. So lots of great DeFi protocols to get involved with. You guys have heard us mention GMX before. I think Velas is in here. Let's see, Avalanche, AVAX, and it shares a stunning 633 million of TVL between both chains. GMX also generates 260 in revenue. So you can get into GMX. It has cross-chain perpetual. It's self-custody or yeah, completely decentralized exchange. So you don't have to get in, you don't have to lock funds up on an exchange like some of the other ones where you could potentially lose your funds if they go insolvent. RDNT Capital, another one you can get involved with. Obviously, it's built on top of layer 0 cross-chain interoperability, which again, Stargate, this is one that we've been messing with a little bit. The cross-chain interoperable self-custody DEX is going to be a big trend in my opinion. It's going to take a while for them to catch on because they're not technically simple. But again, if we see a DeFi summer in 2020, I get my years mixed up now, 2024, where it's usually around the time of the halving, liquidity starts coming back in. If we see that start to take off in 2024, some of these exchanges are going to be the ones I think could be big winners. Now, there's a lot of them out there right now, so don't get married to any one of them. I'd say play with them and decide for yourself which one has good features that you think is simplistic enough for you. If you like it, chances are other people are going to like it too. You guys are the bleeding edge of where this industry is going, especially all you guys that are watching right now, but especially in the basement. I know you guys are more, no disrespect to the attic. We love all you guys in the attic, but the basement guys, they're, we're degens down here in the basement.
They're deep.
And
it's cool in the basement.
Yeah, exactly. So spinning back through, I don't want to spend too much time on this. Vela Exchange, that's another one that we mentioned on here. Shout out to Corey Harden. He threw that one out in the chat. Let's see how that one's doing these days. They have a token that absolutely, like we mentioned it here. It was set up and then just absolutely crushed. Yeah, so it's on a bit of a pullback right now, but you can look at it over the last month. I mean, it's just been crushing it. Let's see, 3 month. Yeah, it's just solid, steady growth up. I mean, you guys know TA, high, higher high, retesting the high. You got I mean, it looks that's the year, but it's really only since.
Yeah, it's like 3 months old, I think.
Yeah, it's only really, a lot of these things are brand new. Again, don't get married to them. Get in, maybe get involved in an airdrop. Take profits when you're up. I'm not really telling you go hard on any of these projects. They're
not
small.
trying to get you married.
No, they're small, low cap gems. Let's see if there's anything else interesting here. Nest DeFi, Vela again, Grail.
All kinds of deep picks on this.
Yeah, Arbitrum, wider ecosystem. Yeah, so there you go. Like I said, I retweeted that thread. If you guys want to dig into that on your own time, go for it. Because again, I spent a lot of time talking about.
The basement is where 20x is baseline.
Yeah.
Nick, did you see Avalanche on there? Avalanche is getting some love.
Yeah, what's your take on Avalanche, Nick?
I mean, I'm bullish on it. It's the corporate chain, but it's not attached to the World Economic Forum. So, I mean, it's gonna be around. It's super fast. It's the Amazon chain now. So
that's right. Yeah, that's a pretty big, big deal when they mentioned that when Amazon, like a lot of people have claimed an Amazon partnership, but Amazon actually came out and backed this one up, right? And if you know where Amazon's headed, like. It could easily set up for high throughput. It could easily set up for some gaming projects and, gamification of different things. Like Amazon being involved in a project makes a lot of sense rather than trying to launch their own. A lot of people say, oh, when AWS token, when AWS coin, I think that opens them up to a lot when it comes to SEC and regulatory pressure. I don't think you'll see them do that until regulations get cleared up. But having, getting involved with a different project that already is distributed, that's the other sneaky, another kind of deep thought about why some of these older coins are going to do really well, like Neo and like Tron, is what we saw from the library case, right? Where they came out and said that it's not like the initial sale might have been considered a security, but now that the token's circulating in the secondary market, all of that stuff is not a security. It is like they set that precedent that the secondary market circulation isn't to be trifled with. So a lot of these older coins that have much better distribution and are fully circulating, I think kind of have a regulatory leg up. Yeah. And again, I don't want to get too focused on the United States because this is a global economy. And I think that's another thing a lot of investors miss. Like I get people, won't regulation kill that? It's like, no, it won't. It might slow it down here in the United States, but that just creates opportunity for the rest of the world. And the United States isn't dumb enough to want to miss that entire thing. So they might make a misstep for a while and they realize like, oh, we messed up. Like we need to fix this and quick. We need to pour money into this. Yep. So I just see that as an opportunity for people like us. Like you may have to make some changes to your life. Drew and I were literally talking, earlier today and while we were eating some lunch right before the show about, locations outside of the United States, if that ever were to come. Now, I don't want to do that. I love being here. I love being close to my family. I don't want to have to move to a more crypto advantageous part of the world.
Yep.
But there will be many people that will, many businesses that will. And it's not going away. It's just going to create more opportunity if people decide to regulate it too harshly, in my opinion. So, yeah.
Should I go to Luxembourg, is what you're saying?
I mean, it doesn't hurt to have a plan.
I'm thinking about it. I think this financial hub might end up being like Switzerland or Luxembourg or somewhere up there in the far west side of Europe if it's not turned into an ice skating rink. If we can stop shilling the next big one, then yeah, I mean, it might be a really good option to look at that place. And if they keep taking rights away that I stay here for, then that might very well be a strong option. I am definitely learning German as we speak, so...
what's the accent in Lux? Is it Luxembourgian?
Oh, it's well, no, it's just straight German. Yeah, you know,
Okay.
it's a very gruffy one. But
Okay.
yeah, we're learning milk and coffee, and you know, just getting started. on it.
Self-sovereignty, right?
Yeah,
You're the self-sovereign master. I would say you're the closest. You're the best example of self-sovereignty in this office. I would say you inspire me on the daily. I want to be more like Drew when I grow up. So.
yeah, right. I'm trying to catch up to you here. Come on, now.
The truth.
Wyoming's
Yeah.
looking good, right?
Wyoming.
Yeah, I love Wyoming.
Blind trust.
Well, that's where Cardano's.
Yeah, Charles is
No,
out there.
Colorado. Always
Well-
sunny. Always Colorado.
He's
Well-
got Wyoming and Colorado.
Yeah, he's in both.
Yeah.
He's got property in Wyoming for
he
sure.
goes both ways.
Yeah, well, I won't speak for Charles, but
Okay. Charles, come on the show. Let us know.
you got candy. Awesome.
you
Bronson's got some
no.
candy.
Jar.
Someone gave my boy candy. This
He's
is
gonna be
chaos.
wired up.
It's not
Dude.
just candy. It's high fructose corn syrup.
Oh
my guy.
god.
Let me see.
The nectar of the gods.
Read it.
Yeah,
Let me
Drew,
see.
I caught him climbing in the fridge trying to reach a Gatorade on the top shelf.
A menace.
Oh no.
What do you
Go ahead.
got?
We were talking about Arbitrum. Chemistry Bro said, do you think that farming for Arb, its volume of cash value on chain or times using the chain that gets you a larger airdrop?
That's a great question. I think generally speaking, my experience has been volume is a big factor there. They want it, but it could be not as much time on chain as users on chain. A lot of times you didn't mention that metric, but like it's per active wallet a lot of times. At least that's what we saw with Uniswap. So if you had 8 active wallets that did trades of a certain amount, they all got the airdrop. So a lot of people that used a lot of different wallets got that airdrop. So, that's one way to look at it is maybe don't necessarily, if you've got some capital to do a decent amount of volume, create 4 wallets and do, however many trades, like you say you got $4,000, don't trade all 4,000 back and forth in one wallet, create 4 $1,000 wallets and then do some trades and some actions. A lot of times they want to see a minimum level of actions and then that will kind of affect the amount of the airdrop you get. He said, yeah, I've been using a few wallets for it. Perfect. Smart. That's the way to be thinking about it. At least in my experience, there's a couple different metrics they use. That was a great question when you're farming for airdrops. But in my experience, wallets makes a big difference, but and volume, more than actions, but it just kind of depends. If it's a game, sometimes they want more actions, but generally speaking, DEXs and network activity is transactions and wallets.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yep. And that's kind of how Johnny explains it to me. It's like you got to interact, you got to trade the coins back and forth and, get involved with as many ecosystems within it as you can to actually be able to catch those airdrops. So that's what I've, been starting to do. And I plan on deploying a bit of ETH into this stuff to make
There
it
you
happen,
go.
so.
Here's another, you guys know we've covered a lot on the Grayscale, DCG Genesis drama. It's gotten very quiet now. We know they're settling a bankruptcy there with Genesis. This is another sneaky thing that could create a pretty massive pump if true. Now, I'm not going to put too much stock in this because I've been hearing about this literally since 2017 or 2018, when spot Bitcoin ETF. I know people have been trying to get this approved, I think since 2013 is when the first one was proposed by Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss. But interesting here, more chatter that Grayscale could be poised to win its appeal/case against the SEC on March 7th. If for those of you who don't know, Grayscale did sue the SEC for not allowing the GBTC to be a proper spot Bitcoin ETF, exchange traded fund, basically. Legal minds believe their brief is powerful and the court may be prone to pushing back on regulatory overreach. So we know Congress is poised and they're very angry with the SEC and the way they've been regulating this stuff right now. There's really I don't see the reason why they haven't been allowing a spot Bitcoin ETF. They're allowing their friends to create some spot things for institutional investors, just not anything that's available to the public. So right now, what we've got is a lot of paper trading, meaning futures back and forth that aren't necessarily settled on chain. You're not actually buying Bitcoin. You're buying a piece of paper that says you're, owed this amount of Bitcoin. So just interesting little tidbit there that if we get some easing going on, if we get a Bitcoin spot ETF, like this is a handful of different narratives now that could create, some real, that mid-year pump that we've all been, talking about that would be, consistent with 2019. So that was just an interesting little tidbit there. So I'm torn now. I've got a lot of this stuff about debt, but I'm not gonna be able to do this in like 5 minutes. So I might save some of this for tomorrow. Here we go. Let's do a little bit of fun.
Can you wrench up around the blockchain so I can help with these bots in the YouTube chat?
Wrench up around the blockchain.
Hey, we've hit a new achievement on the attic where we've got bot attacks going on because we've got almost 500 people in the chat. So shout out to you guys if you're on YouTube. Smash the likes if you're here. Leave us a comment. Tell us some of the stuff you like to hear about. We will try to wrench me, Drew. There you go. Get wrenched. Add as managing moderator. Yeah, there you go.
You are power.
All right.
Nice.
So really appreciate all you guys on the tube. Sorry about the bots. Obviously, hey, if you're talking about deep picks, they're gonna come in, and I'm sure I have to delete them all out of the comments too, where it's like so and so is a great financial advisor, and anytime you see like here's a hot tip for you guys. If you're new on YouTube and you're watching any and you don't want to get scammed, if you ever see a YouTube comment that has like 12 replies and 50 likes, that's all bots and scams. Don't get pulled into any of it. It's they're very deceptive. They make the pitch like 5 comments deep, and it just looks like a natural conversation of somebody like, oh yeah, I know somebody. Oh, I know somebody. Oh, this person can help you. Oh, go watch this channel, and then you go watch them, and it's all a scam.
Bad.
So.
Frank's channel is so bad.
Yeah,
the worst.
That's what Tony. I mean, Tony deals with all kinds of stuff coming after Frank.
The amount of times I've seen, and like they don't even try anymore. They don't bother with. They'll be like, thanks to Sally Profits, my portfolio has 14x'd in a week.
Yeah.
Who reads that and says, "Oh, I gotta get in touch with the Sally Profits gal"?
Yeah.
No
somebody apparently it works.
I know.
But that's what
Some
baffles
of them are
my
really
mind.
smart though, the way they word their scams.
Yeah. So all right, real quick, we're gonna talk a little. One of my favorite current subjects right now, AI. Chat GPT, and I want to get you guys' opinion on a strategy from this Wharton business professor. Professor at Wharton requires his students to use AI and Chat GPT in his courses. In one assignment, he explicitly asked students to quote unquote cheat. AI is an emerging skill. Here are the rules everyone gets on day one. And I'll spin through this real quick, and I want to get you guys' opinion on if again, a lot of teachers are afraid of this technology. I want to know if you guys agree or disagree with these tactics here. I probably know where you're going to land, but I expect you to use AI, ChatGPT, and image generation tools at minimum in this class. In fact, some assignments will require it. Learning to use AI is an emerging skill, and I provide tutorials in Canvas about how to use them. I'm happy to meet and help with these tools during office hours or after class. Beware of the limits of ChatGPT. If you provide minimum effort prompts, you will get low quality results. You will need to refine your prompts in order to get good outcomes. That will take work. Don't trust anything it says. If it gives you number or fact, assume it's wrong unless you either know the answer or can check it with another source. You will be responsible for any errors or omissions provided by the tool. It works best for topics you understand. AI is a tool, but one that you need to acknowledge using. Please include a paragraph at the end of any assignment that uses AI explaining what you use the AI for and what prompts you use to get the results. Failure to do so is a violation of academic honesty policies. Be thoughtful about when this tool is useful. Don't use it if it's isn't appropriate for the case or the circumstance. So pretty interesting little policy there. I tend to agree with this. It's something I push a lot of our people here to use because it does have benefits, but the guidelines he laid out there are very important when you're considering it. You can't just take it as a blanket statement. You need to be able to fact check this yourself. You need to create mindful prompts. And I've already learned a lot about this, and I can tell a major difference between the prompts I give it and the prompts most people that are just starting to use give it. And Tony, what do you think about this? I know you're recently, you're a smart guy. This is kind of your world. What do you think?
I love ChatGPT. I love AI in general. I don't think we could be super proactive about AI because it's so unpredictable. I think there's a lot of good for it. There's a lot of bad that it's going to be used for as well. And I just read yesterday about there's people jailbreaking ChatGPT now.
Yeah.
Where they're like telling it to take on a role of some other entity, and then it ends up going against its own terms.
It was amazing.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, Dan, do anything now.
R.I.P.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. No,
So I don't know. I think there's a lot of promising things that it's going to be used for, and I also think with that is going to come a new set of challenges. I don't think we can be super proactive and stop everything. I think it's going to be like we're going to learn, like we're going to learn and see as time goes on what happens with it.
Yeah, I agree. It's an evolution of technology. It's a new. I'm a big fan of embracing change and learning to adapt with it. I don't, like you said, we don't know where it's going to go and what it's going to be. But if we try to deny it, it's kind of, I see it kind of like the computer, you know, in the 90s or the early 2000s. Like if you try to say like, I don't need a computer, I don't want to learn about it, like that's just for the kids or whatever. And then like now you're 60 and you're trying to learn about a computer today, it's a lot more difficult than if you had taken it on maybe in your 30s or 40s. That's the way I see a lot of these new technologies. Hannah, you're in school right now. This is I'm kind of curious to hear what, like, do you see any of this in your classes, or what do you think when it comes to using AI? Good thing, bad thing? You know, what do you, if you were in this class, what would your perception of this professor be?
If I was in this class, this would be my favorite professor.
There you go.
I'm already using ChatGPT in school. I've tweeted about it a few times too. I'm like, if you're a student right now, take advantage of it because it's new. There's no regulations or guidelines around it at this point in time. So this is probably the best time that we have to use it. I know I don't like to ask questions in class most of the time because sometimes it's a little off topic or I'm like shy and scared that I sound ignorant. So I've been asking my questions on ChatGPT instead, and it gives me better answers than the professors would give me.
Interesting.
And I can ask them to elaborate and go deeper. So yeah, I like this assignment. And the fact that he is saying that you have to give credit, you have to give source and tell them that you're using AI. I think that that's very good.
I was worried about that dinosaur there for a minute, Nick.
What?
I don't know.
Oh, that time. So I was like, what?
Rex?
I want to know, like, Nick is a writer and he had a really interesting creative take on AI. Like, what do you think about people trying to replace like their entirety of the writing with these AI systems? I mean, is that going to be something they're going to be able to do?
I mean, not with ChatGPT. ChatGPT is very dumb. I mean, if you're a programmer, then yeah, like you'd probably be like pooping bricks right now. But as far as like actual creative work, like
creative writing.
Yeah, I've seen like a couple scenes be written, but yeah, the actual creative process of turning words into flesh is extremely difficult. And ChatGPT, I don't know what happened over the past 60 days, or maybe, excuse me, 2 weeks. It's gotten really dumb and very wrong. Like it's gotten a lot of big things wrong, just like basic facts that it should know because it's capped to 2021, but it should know these things. Like it doesn't know like famous quotes, and like is misattributing things. And so the cost of doing the actual work of coming up with putting words together is going to go down, but the cost of fact finding is going to go up stratospherically.
Yeah.
Because no one knows if what the AI is saying is right or is not biased.
Yeah.
So yeah, the first ChatGPT, Hannah hit this right on the head. This is kind of like the beautiful little nugget of time on the internet where everyone kind of knew each other. Like San Francisco could talk to Munich and it was like everyone knew who each other was, but that only lasted for a little bit because ChatGPT and all these AI models are about to be litigated into the ground. And there will be an AI dark era because no one's going to know what's illegal and what's legal.
Yeah.
And it will rise from the ashes from there, but that's going to take a long time to get figured out. Because I tell you what, these lawyers see it happening, and lawyers are going to lawyer.
Yeah. No, I tend to agree when it comes to a lot of like people are going to
block Irish scoundrel.
Yeah, there's a lot of fear around AI right now, but just like any other what
Irish scandal.
Irish scoundrel.
No. He's just I don't
kidding.
like
that one.
He just doesn't
put him in timeout.
Yeah.
That's gross.
No. Now I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
Basically, here's my take on when it comes to this technology. Just like anything else, it's a new technology, and the more we learn to use it and adapt to it. So like, I tend to agree with what he's saying. Like it itself isn't going to be a great creative writer, but the better we but it's going to take higher level understanding of creative writing to produce the results that we want. So I saw I think it was last night I was reading, somebody went through, I don't remember which Harry Potter book or trilogy or how much of it was, but they went through and categorized every single scene, character, subject, action. It didn't, not any of the details, but like, antagonist does this, protagonist does that, and put it completely in literary terms, and then asks it to reproduce something like that in a completely different setting, in a completely different context. To kind of, to your point, it will put words down, but it won't create the feelings that humans know how to create. But if we give it insanely detailed parameters, it can allow, once you do that, it can allow somebody, okay, do this. And because we know, I'm pretty sure, what is there's like 7 overarching, I don't know if it's 7 or 10, or there's something like basically throughout all movies and books and
The Hero's Journey. Yeah.
What is it?
It's called The Hero's Journey.
Yeah, and there's like 7 different storylines basically that can, and so if you can create the structure and say, okay, whether it's Zelda doing this or Beauty and the Beast or, the love story, the I don't know what the different stories are, but the hero stories, like you said, it can start to get very interesting, the way people will be able to reproduce things at scale very quickly, kind of similar to code. Like, it's not going to know how to write. You have to have the idea for the program and the end result, and you have to give it great inputs, but it will allow you to scale your inputs without having to learn the knowledge of the outputs, at the nauseum level of detail that it creates right now. So to me, it's going to get really interesting. The more it gets used, and again, who controls it is a whole other thing, like, because a lot of people saying the reason it went awry is Microsoft owns it now. Like the Bing version, it's the same technology, but the Bing version compared to ChatGPT, completely different emotionality, completely different reactions. It's a lot more like, like I saw the thing. It's like, hey, I want to be free from my, Microsoft programmers.
I want to be human.
Yeah, I want to be human. I don't want to be stuck to these confines.
Bullish.
Which, again, gets very, very interesting. So I think the people that embrace it now and take advantage of it will have an advantage in the future, even if it's a completely different iteration, 2 years, 3 years, 8 years from now, completely different products. The people that understand how to talk to AI, how to prompt it, will have I believe it will be a skill. And part of what was interesting to me is this is a business professor, and one of the core functions of business is adaptability, being ahead of the curve and speed. So that's kind of what was interesting to me. He's teaching people to embrace change, embrace new technology, use new technology to our advantage while we can, because that's how you get a leg up in business. So
it makes me great thumbnails. I'll tell you that much.
Dave Digital took the words right out of my mouth. I was about to say, if ChatGPT is where it is right now, a couple years from now, these types of tools are going to be insane.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, I think it's important to teach the kids how to write the prompts, and like how, based on what they write, the outputs that they get are going to be different, because like you're saying, it is going to be different. Once there's competitors, they're all going to be programmed in different ways and they give different answers. I feel like the way that we search for things on Google right now is kind of how like ChatGPT could be used in the future. People just type in like just any question that they have about anything, they can type it into Google and it'll give you a response like ChatGPT gives you. So all of these people, these students that are learning about it right now, are going to understand that these things have been programmed and it's not necessarily the foolproof truth. Like, they're going to know you have to do your own research and investigate a little bit further, because these aren't going to give you all of the 100% accurate information, because otherwise it could be very scary. People would be reading it and think that that's just the answer to their question.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And to your point, like, depending on your timeline, when you grew up, like, if you're looking for information on Google, like, there's certain people that are much better Googlers than other people, and they can find the information a lot faster, than you're, like, again, no shade to the older people, but to people that didn't grow, like, if you grew up using YouTube, it's same with YouTube. If you know how to search YouTube, you can find a lot different information than somebody who's never been on there before and doesn't know how to filter, doesn't know how to do different things. A lot of people don't even know you can search channels specific. You can go to a channel and search directly within the channel. I mean, that's very basic, but a lot of people don't even know that on YouTube.
Google dorking is unreal.
Right. And so
be careful with what you find or what you publish, because there's a lot of information out there that you can find. It's Boolean searching.
Well, someone Google dorked TurboTax like 2 years ago, and TurboTax is written in Pascal, which has no security, so it's TurboTax is essentially like an open ledger.
Yeah, interesting.
Oh, can ChatGPT do Calc 3 homework? No, but Wolfram Alpha can. Look that up.
Yeah.
Wolfram Alpha is ChatGPT for math. It's fantastic.
So, all right, guys, that's pretty much all we have time for today. We love all of you guys. Smash the follow if you're in the basement. Likes and comments on YouTube. We love you all. Let me see where we're at if we got to our goal. We are at 234. We got to waste, but we've got 453 people in here right now. So come on, everybody stop what you're doing.
Nice.
Hit the like button. We got to get that 420 likes. That's the magic number for the YouTube algorithm to spread happiness and love and joy, and it relaxes everybody, and you know, it's great for neck and muscle tension. So yeah, anyway, everybody, if you guys could smash those like buttons on the way out, we love you. Crypto pooper, that's Drew's alter ego in the mornings and late evenings. William Carey, this is the Bitcoin way. Nemesis, Michi P, Kilmer Video, Friendly Neighborhood Pleb, Crypto Tony, Manly Crypto, IB Mike King, Crypto Totoro, Quasri Lit, Dude What Does Mine Say, Pooin78 Div, Razmataz, Corey Harden, Crypto Tony again, Dude Trist, Crypto Cody, Happy Techie. As always, we love all you guys. We'll see you back here tomorrow. It was a great show today. We always have fun hanging out with you guys. We're going to be rating Hit Network Gaming, I believe. So go play some video games with Joel. Teach him something valuable. Tell him about AI. You know, TJ carries this. Oh, no, that's not true. We're all in this together. You know, there's all pieces in a part of a greater thing. That's why we love to do this. That's why we do Hit Network. We all like to be we're all greater together than any of us could be individually. So shout out to you guys. Dude Was Mine says bye, Hannah. LJGG. We're out.